Right now here on Live Impact News, we are going to pivot to a big headline that we're seeing regarding Justice Department news because we're learning that there's a settlement right now in an antitrust lawsuit against Ticketmaster and parent company Live Nation. Ultimately, this could result in lower ticket prices for folks, and this is all over claims of an illegal monopoly over live events in the United States. We know several states were part of this suit, and we actually have North Carolina involved as well, which we are seeing. Attorney General Jeff Jackson joining us here right now on Live Impact News. Attorney General, thanks so much for your time.
Good to see you.
Great to see you. So we're seeing that Live Nation is set to pay a fine up to $280 million, and it must also divest itself of at least 13 amphitheaters across the country. Let me know what your reaction is here to this development today.
This is a bad deal. For people who really know the facts of this case and understand the monopoly and pricing power that Ticketmaster and Live Nation have, and frankly how they've abused that power over customers, this is barely even a slap on the wrist. Dozens of state AGs, Republicans and Democrats, came together and brought them to court along with USDOJ. USDOJ just surprised all of us, cut us all out of the loop, made their own deal. It's not a very tough deal. And the rest of the AGs, or the vast majority of us anyway, have said, no, we're going to keep the fight going.
So is there any way to keep the fight going? And if so, what would the nature of that fight be for folks who are not satisfied with the settlement?
Here's what I expect. I think you're going to have a few dozen state AGs, Republicans and Democrats, come together and in very short order bring Live Nation and Ticketmaster back to court under the exact same charges and basically say, hey, we appreciate that USDOJ got a deal, but that deal does not go to the root issue, which is the fact that Live Nation and Ticketmaster are combined has allowed them to abuse customers by charging so much for these ticket prices. That is fundamentally an unlawful monopoly, and this deal really doesn't address that.
Now, no doubt in your decision to go ahead and put North Carolina in this original suit, you've probably heard from folks in North Carolina about their concerns. What are some stories you are hearing from people with their, issues with this, what we're seeing claims of this illegal monopoly?
Well, we've heard from moms who want to take their daughters to concerts, the Taylor Swift one being the big example, and saying, look, I'm just priced out of the market. So what I think is successful here, a good resolution, is an outcome where those moms or those dads who want to take their kids to a concert can actually feel the difference, that it will be more affordable for them in a tangible way. This deal, this quick deal that just happened behind closed doors with USDOJ, moms and dads aren't going to feel it. The outcome that we want, they'll feel.
Now, I'm kind of curious, your take looking at the general landscape as it stands right now. How do you feel the U.S. is doing when it comes to looking at monopolies in general and how, in general, these may or may not be impacting consumers here in the U.S.?
One of the big ways that our office, a state AG office, works with the federal government historically has been with their antitrust division. And when this administration came in, they talked a big game about doing a lot of antitrust work. And the leader of their antitrust division also talked a big game and said, hey, we're going to be out there. They were our partners on a bunch of stuff. She's gone now. She left. This was the last big remaining antitrust case that we had with USDOJ. They just bailed in a way that really hurt the case. We don't really have a strong partner anymore with antitrust stuff when it comes to USDOJ. I just don't think they're relevant players anymore.
So you kind of explained what could come next from your perspective and maybe the perspective of other states that may want to hop back on a suit with Live Nation and Ticketmaster. I did want to touch on, if it's possible here in the next few minutes, on another big announcement that your office made in the last couple of days, and that regards the tariffs, because I know that's a huge headline for folks who've been watching this, and we're seeing that 15% tariff that the president is talking about. And I know, based on what your office has shared with us on, I believe it was Thursday, you all will be challenging that?
We are. We're joining that lawsuit. We think that those tariffs were imposed unlawfully. and the consequences to North Carolina are going to be pretty serious. The frontline folks who feel those consequences, those are our farmers, and we are hearing from them. Soybean farmers, all types of different farmers. Second line consequence, that's felt by consumers. The rest of us, we are all going to be paying more money if these tariffs are allowed to stand.
I am kind of curious your legal perspective on this, because we did see, I believe it was late last week, a decision made where it looked like companies would be getting some refunds back potentially from the the tariffs that were struck down recently. What do you think it would take to get refunds to consumers?
That's going to be an extremely complicated legal issue. I think the Supreme Court is going to end up having to weigh in on that, or a federal appellate court. The Supreme Court, in overturning the last round of tariffs, really provided very little guidance about how that's to be handled. I know in Congress right now, they're talking about legislative packages on the order of over $100 billion to potentially help with those refunds. I don't think that's going to be settled this month or next month.
All right. I know we kind of tossed a couple topics at you. Anything that you'd like to wrap up with here before we wrap things up for Live Impact News in just about a minute or so?
I saw the weather report before I came on. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful week. Hope people have a chance to go outside and enjoy it.
I know. We had a pretty rough winter. I know some folks enjoyed the snow, but the sun sure feels delightful at this point.
We've earned it. We've earned it.
Yeah, indeed. All right, Attorney General Jeff Jackson, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you joining us here on Live Impact News.
You got it. Take care.